The economics of K-pop could be interesting.
Visiting Japan feels a bit like taking a trip to the future. Robots serve and deliver your food. Vending machines sell everything from umbrellas to puppies.
We do have that
Bullet
documentary.
trains whisk you around the island at 320 kilometers an hour. And its median age of 47.3, the second highest in the world, warns of the global aging soon to come. There's one way, however, where Japan is stuck in the past. Walking around Tokyo or Osaka or Kobe, you might notice something odd. A strangely high number of music stores. Compared to the US, Japan has 40% as many people,
Why is this about
but
Japan
nearly double
so
the number
far?
of music shops. As a whole, the Japanese music market is the second biggest in the world, but unlike almost any other. In most parts of the world, streaming has replaced physical sales. In 2015, for example, 66% of US music sales were digital. In Japan,
It's way higher than that
the
now.
opposite. 75% of sales were physical.
That's crazy. Japan still does heavy physical music buying?
Only 18% were digital. This is due in part to the country's stringent copyright laws, licensing restrictions, and rental culture. But there's another reason CDs are still loved in countries like Japan and South Korea: K-pop. Korean pop groups have offset losses from piracy with glossy, premium, collectible CDs, usually sold to fans who will never play them. Instead, CDs are sold as merch, often with different covers to encourage buying several,
Interesting.
and sometimes act as lottery tickets for a chance to meet your favorite singer.
Very
What's
interesting.
so interesting about
They
K-pop
turn CDs into a gotcha game. That's actually very interesting. That's a clever idea to turn because the thing is, so you guys know the music industry peaked in like the late 90s, early 2000s at the height of CD sales. That's the biggest revenues they ever had. And ever since then, they've had a big decline in revenue. Like the music industry is just smaller. It doesn't make as much money. And they've had a recent boost because of streaming, but it's not nearly as big as it was in the late 90s. And so finding a way to still sell CDs like a physical object for, 16, 17 bucks it's really clever. It's a smart marketing idea to turn it into like a collectible.
as a business is that almost everything from the very beginning is manufactured as a consumer product. Artists aren't found, but created, sculpted for maximum reach over many years in a factory system. And their international success is no accident. K-pop is a deliberate government-funded project aimed at growing South Korea's global power, making it, in the process,
South Korea needs to grow some fucking bitches, dude. Respectfully. South Korea just has the lowest fertility rate in the entire world as of they got 2 years in a row, 2022, 2021. They're literally having no children. They are having absolutely no, South Korea is worse than Japan. They have this rapidly aging population with no children coming.
The 1988 Summer Olympics was a turning point for South Korea. Like Japan's 1964 and China's 2008 games, it was a rare, historic opportunity to change the country's image abroad. Harsh censorship laws and restrictive TV network monopolies soon opened up, giving way to a new generation of artists. 4 years later, in 1992, the Korean government's Culture and Tourism Institute began looking for new
I lived in Korea for 8 months. I love Korea. I think it's an awesome country. I think they have a lot of cool things. The biggest flaw they have, is they've got like a corporatocracy that's even worse than here. There's like a few mega corps that just own everything in Korea. Like they're completely untouchable. They have incredible power over the government and everything. Samsung's one of them. They're monopolies over everything. There's like almost no competition. It's like their biggest, because they have incredibly clean cities. They have really innovative stuff. They have high scoring math and science. There's a lot going for the country, but it's definitely choked for the average person by the fucking absolute monopolies.
But rather than waiting for demand, Korean entertainment.
I do want to watch T1 vs. Gen G, but I'm afraid I might get DMCA struck.
Translated a popular drama
We could try to
called
sneak
What
it,
Is Love
maybe,
into Cantonese,
but I think I'll get
which
in
it
trouble.
sent to the Korean consulate in Hong Kong, where it was offered free to a local TV station. Soon, Hong Kong and its neighbor Guangzhou were asked.
One of the scariest things about Korea when you live there is that if you ever get into any debt, sometimes you'll get invited to play in like this game where everyone wears jumpsuits, and they'll turn like children's games into like this murderous TV show for the rich. It's pretty common, and it's actually really scary. It happens all the time in Seoul. Yeah, there's a documentary on it. You can check it out on Netflix. It's really,
For more.
That happened to you?
Not
No,
long after
I
that,
wasn't broke.
demand spread to Taiwan, Vietnam, Japan, and further into mainland China, which established diplomatic relations with South Korea that same year. The media called this mass cultural dispersion Hallyu, or the Korean Wave. The next turning point came after the 1997 Asian financial crisis, when manufacturing industries across South and Southeast Asia saw huge losses. In response, President Kim Dae-jung turned to the entertainment sector, hiring a PR firm to launch a new national image. The cultural budget increased 600%, and a new Ministry of Culture was formed, including an entire K-pop department. The second Korean wave came in 2012 with the explosive viral hit Gangnam Style, proving a song didn't need to be written in English to succeed in the West, later confirmed by hits like Despacito.
Two greatest songs of all time. Gangnam Style, Despacito, Baby Shark. 3 songs I want played at my funeral, dude. Just fucking bangers all the way through. Everyone's having a good time. Mo Bamba, number 4.
Entertainment, in some form, was inevitable. Engineered for, in fact, by the K-pop formula. The difference between it and other genres is that K-pop is reverse engineered based on consumer preferences. Where most musicians start off practicing in their parents' garages, driven only by a passion for the art, and eventually get discovered by a record label, K-pop groups usually begin, rise, and change directions from a conference room. There are 4 big labels:
marketers,
YG, SM, JYP, and Big Hit Entertainment. These companies aren't so much agents as product designers. They create and shape every aspect of their groups. Some labels turn recruitment into a reality TV competition, ideal for creating fan loyalty and dramatizing personalities. In 2012, 4% of the entire South Korean population tried out for Superstar K.
That's crazy. That's so high.
Qualities like appearance, because the next component is training. Potential stars, sometimes as young as 11 years old, go through roughly 5 to 10 years of arduous preparation. A training schedule might be as follows: 5 a.m. wake up. Practice choreography, go to school, get out at 3 p.m., practice vocals until 6, language lessons until 9, and then exercise until 11, leaving an hour to get home before the train shut down for the night in Seoul, and 5 hours for sleep. Still, after all that, after sacrificing all other—
Imagine sleeping for 5 hours. Fucking lazy. It's like, you heard of grustling or what? They just not grustle in Korea? It's like, it's crazy. 5 hours for sleep? Also, where's the games? You're not even getting better at any video games. So what's the point? This is literally... When is eating time? Yeah, that's a good question.
After learning English or Japanese, only about—
I wonder why no one's having kids.
will ever debut. K-pop stars complain of long, miserable hours, low pay, and unfair 7-year contracts, which include clauses forbidding them from talking publicly about relationships, and/or requiring they maintain a certain weight. Labels, in turn, argue these stipulations are necessary given the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars and years they invest in each trainee.
Bro, it's actually fucked. The 7-year contract especially fucked because they do it and they train them till they're like, what, 18, 19 or whatever, and they're ready to be stars, right? Then they lock them into a 7-year contract. By the time they're 27, their era of being like a teen, pop star is over. So they cast them aside and they go back to the next people. And 7 years, they're paying them pennies. They're in their most famous era. Like when they're in their peak earning potential, when they're global superstars, they pay them almost nothing. And then they have to kind of remake their career when they're like older, and when they can go solo, and they've already been locked into 7. It's crazy. It's super exploitive.
The third ingredient, and perhaps most important, is localization. Because K-pop is so diverse, incorporating everything from pop to techno, rock, and hip-hop, it's hard to define what exactly it is. One of the few—
Not saying some of them do keep going. Like some of them are so famous and so successful that after the contract's over, they can renegotiate at a much, much higher rate and get paid, celebrity status money, and they're doing good. But that's the exception, not the rule. Most of them trained all their youth for, 7 years of spotlight that they make no money for.
Few unifying characteristics which sets it apart from, say, Japanese pop is the way it caters to an international audience. Group names generally consist of a short, easily recognized English word or acronym: TWICE, BTS, EXO, or AOA. Another common strategy is to have at least one Chinese, Japanese, Thai, or Taiwanese group member. Songs and their extravagant music videos are often produced 2 or 3 times, in Korean, Japanese, and Mandarin, with English words sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, it was so funny living there because the chorus of every song is English. Like I would do karaoke nights sometimes when I was in Korea, and it's like everything was English, dude. It was not, and then all the signs in Seoul were in English and Korean. Like it didn't feel. It was very easy for me to get around without knowing Korean. I studied a lot of Korean before I went, and then I got there, and like it was not a problem. Almost everybody knows English. in Seoul at least. Yeah, it wasn't tough.
In addition to being hugely profitable, this international focus provides Seoul with something even more valuable, although intangible. While soft power can't be precisely measured, it tells a nation's story in a way no amount of tanks or factories ever can. K-pop is so political because it paints such a vivid national image. Separately, in 2016, the US began deploying a defense system in South Korea against potential North Korean missiles called the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. Soon after, South Korean products began disappearing from Chinese shelves. Although never explicitly announced, China's government effectively banned K-pop. Tour groups were forbidden from traveling to the south, and previously welcome K-pop groups suddenly found their performances cancelled, or visas denied. Music videos were even blocked from the internet.
China does a lot to try and curtail other countries' culture and soft power. They famously, America's biggest weapon for soft power, culturally, has been Hollywood. And I'm going to talk about this in a further Marketing Monday, but obviously they've done a ton to try to limit the scope of Hollywood, especially in China. But they haven't been very good about exporting their own. China hasn't had a lot of things that have hit in the rest of the world, music, movies, etc. But I feel like it's a matter of time, just given how much money they keep dumping into their own movie studios and music industry and TikTok. TikTok is the big one, but it's kind of weird because it's just a platform. Like all the content on it is not created in China. TikTok is their biggest success story globally. Genshin Impact, games is a great point. Actually, I take it back. Really, I wasn't considering games when I said that. They've actually done amazingly well with exporting games. Genshin Impact is actually a perfect example. In fact, I think a lot of the biggest games of the future are maybe not made in China, but they're owned by Tencent. Isn't Riot Chinese? I mean, Riot is an American-based company. They're based in Santa Monica, California. All their employees are there, but they are owned by Tencent. Yeah, they're owned by China.
Finally, the last step is to sell every millimeter of unused space. Extreme fan loyalty translates into extremely effective paid endorsements, product placements, and sponsorships. The quintessential example of the formula's success is the 7-member boy band BTS. Their Twitter account generates 4 times the engagement of President Donald Trump's. They appeared on The Ellen Show, gave a speech at the United Nations, and contribute an estimated
BTS for president?
$3.6 billion US a year to the Korean economy. Some say K-pop is too commercialized, too scripted, too fake. But while some artists invent touching origin stories, K-pop is honest about its motives: profit. Like professional wrestling, yes, it's exaggerated and mass-produced.
So I went to a Blackpink concert. Yeah, that's right. Didn't expect that from me, did you? I did. I went to a Blackpink concert with some friends who are more into it than me. And it was insane how commercial it is, though. It's, listen, they're talented. The songs are catchy, but it's insane how commercial it is. That concert, literally, it opened with like a 5-minute Audi ad. Like everyone's in the crowd screaming, and then the fucking lights come on, or the lights go down, and then this is like at the Forum in LA. It was like a big fucking, and then it fucking opened with like this fucking incredibly long Audi ad of them, and it was like obvious they weren't driving the cars. So it was like a green screen, I guess, or it's like fake. It's like they're like in a set of a car turning a wheel, and then it would cut to an Audi like spinning through a parking garage. Then it would cut back to them like driving the car, and it was all 5 of them driving Audis through a parking garage, and it just kept cutting. 5 minutes long, and everyone's just losing their mind. Yeah, Audi logo. It's 5 of them in 5 different colored Audis just driving. It was crazy, and I was like, all right, this is the opening to their first U.S. concert? And there was like commercials throughout the concert. The concert was full of commercials. But what's just funny is like the table's been flipped, because it used to be so common to call musicians sellouts, right? But nowadays it's like almost like if you don't sell out, it's like, what's wrong with your music? Like, did no one ask? Are you broke? Does no one care? Do you have no fans?
Yes, its fans are aware. But there's something respectably authentic about how transparently manufactured it all is. It may be fake, but very real is the joy it brings millions of fans around the world. Behind every great K-pop idol is an intense motivation and need to learn new skills. If you want to learn how to...
It's definitely reliant on genre. Sellouts are still frowned upon in like punk spaces. Okay, well, punk is like so like at its core anti-corporate and anti-authoritarian. It would be insane to see a punk artist like fucking shilling for Coca-Cola. Fuck the system! Buy Frosted Flakes! Actually, it's a gangster song. I actually want to make that real. That's fucking powerful. That was a good video. I like the length. I was interested. Economics K-pop. It's a very interesting subject.